Susette Kelo always dreamed of owning a home with a view of the water. In 1997, her dream became a reality when she purchased and then lovingly restored her little pink house on the Thames River in the Fort Trumbull community of New London, Connecticut. Susette quickly became a respected member of the working class neighborhood and made friends, many of which lived in homes that their families had owned for generations. The cozy community reflected the beauty of community and the American dream of home ownership.
Hey.
Hey.
How was your day?
Oh, busy. I'm exhausted.
Wow, it's
been a rough
day.
one. Yes, it was.
So there's something going to be on TV that's going to benefit Fort Trumbull if you want to watch it.
God, yes. I'd like to see what's going on.
Okay.
Definitely.
The New London Development Committee has been in talks with a major corporation about building a new facility in Fort Trumbull and potentially adding hundreds of jobs.
Tragically, the city of New London turned one community's dream into a nightmare. At a town hall meeting, the New London Development Corporation tried to convince local residents that the new development would provide jobs and tax revenue that would benefit the community. Local residents were unimpressed. NLDC representatives' comments enraged the crowd of people who simply wanted to keep their homes.
This is my home. Nothing can replace the memories and the community that I have here.
You're right. You're right.
No.
The Fifth Amendment to the United States Constitution states, "Nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation." This concept is known as eminent domain and was traditionally understood to allow the government to only seize property for public use, including the construction of public roads and essential government facilities. However, the city of New London sought to greatly expand this concept to include taking property from one person and handing it over to a private company in hopes that the company would create jobs and increase tax revenue. This was a remarkably controversial expansion of government power, which enraged many Americans. Kelo and her neighbors fought New London's attempted power grab and took their case all the way to the United States Supreme Court.
We will now hear argument in the case of Kelo versus City of New London. Mr. Bullock.
This case is about whether there are any limits on government's eminent domain power under the public use requirement of the Fifth Amendment. Every home, church, or corner store would produce more tax revenue and jobs if it were a Costco, a shopping mall, or a private office building. But if that's a justification for the use of eminent domain, then any city can take property anywhere within its borders for any private use that might make more money than what is there now.
Mr. Bullock, you're leaving out that New London was in a depressed economic condition.
Every city has problems. Every city would like to have more tax revenue. But the one thing that all poor neighborhoods share in common is that they don't produce much in the way of tax revenue. So you're going to put poor neighborhoods and working class neighborhoods like the ones that exist in Fort Trumbull in jeopardy.
Mr. Horton.
Justice O'Connor, and may it please the Court. The principal purpose of the takings clause is to provide for just compensation.
So that's you're paying for it, but you're also taking property from somebody who doesn't want to sell it. Does that count for nothing? Yes, you're paying for it, but you're giving the money to somebody who doesn't want the money, who wants to live in the house that she's lived in her whole life. That counts for nothing.
Your Honor, there are some plaintiffs who are not going to sell at any price. They want to stay there. You've got a severe assembly problem in this case, and it's not as though you can say, well, go somewhere else.
In a highly controversial 5-4 decision, the Supreme Court decided in favor of New London and authorized the city to seize Susette Kelo's little pink house. Writing for the majority, Justice Stevens explained in affirming the city's authority to take petitioners' properties, "We do not minimize the hardship that condemnations may entail, notwithstanding the payment of just compensation. The necessity and wisdom of using eminent domain to promote economic development are certainty matters of legitimate public debate. Justice Clarence Thomas disagreed with the court's majority, writing the consequences of today's decisions are not difficult to predict and promise to be harmful. So-called urban renewal programs provide some compensation for the properties they take, but no compensation is possible for the subjective value of these lands to the individuals displaced and the indignity inflicted by uprooting them from their homes. Allowing the government to take property solely for public purposes is bad enough, but extending the concept of public purpose to encompass any economically beneficial goal guarantees that these losses will fall disproportionately on poor communities. Since Kelo v. New London, 47 states, including North Carolina, have strengthened their protections against eminent domain use, either through legislation or as state Supreme Court decisions. Kelo and her neighbors lost their homes, but funding for the development project fell through, and nothing was ever built on the land where Kelo's little pink house once stood. Susette Kelo lost her home, but the question remains, do any of us really own anything?